and buonasera. It's the 7th race weekend of the DTM season 2018, and we are thrilled to be here in Misano because we're ready for the second night race in the history of the DTM. It's a huge challenge for the drivers, but one man who managed the qualifying really well and is in pole position is Loic Duval. Congratulations to your first pole position in DTM. What are you going to make it to do the first victory in DTM?
Hopefully, but as you saw yesterday, we are pretty much in the similar conditions, and it was a kind of a roller coaster yesterday, you know, with these track conditions. You don't know if you're going to start with the slick or with the wet tires. Might have some safety cars, so it's going to be a tough one. But at least yesterday we were competitive. We end up P4, so hopefully we can carry on with this pole position and have a good result at the end.
Crossing our fingers. Thank you so much, Loic, and now back to you.
So Loic Duval, he did indeed do a fantastic job in qualifying. A 1:45.9. He was the only driver to put it in the 1:45s in torrid conditions, it has to be said, in qualifying. And we thought the track was going to dry out before the start of the DTM race, but there are still some showers in the air, and some raindrops have just come down as well ahead of the start of the DTM race. So it really is throwing a curved ball, the weather, into this weekend here in Misano. Not only have the drivers got to contend with the fact they're racing at night for the first time, but the weather conditions are really rather not Misano-like. So Bruno Spengler there, as you can see on screen, talking to his race engineer ahead of the start of the race. There is Paul de Resta, who goes from P10 on the grid. Gary Paffett, of course, will be hoping for better luck today. He's with Verena.
And here's the man who's leading the championship, Gary Paffett. Gary, yesterday was a day to forget, no question about it. Today's a new day, starting in P8, and I'm sure you're going to push as hard as possible to collect as many valuable points as possible, but how challenging is it going to be?
Yeah, it's like a copy of yesterday, looking at the ground, trying to work out if it's still wet or dry. So pretty much exactly the same conditions we had last night, a bit cooler. So it's going to be difficult to know what tyres to start on, when to pit, and so on. So it's going to be another tough race like it was yesterday. And yeah, we just have to try and collect as many points as we can, as you said. I mean, yesterday we did pretty much everything right at the start of the race, and we just have to try and do the same again. So yeah, it's going to be a real challenge again. But as I say, we just have to collect some points and then go from there.
Sounds so easy when you say it. All right, well, best of luck, Gary. And back to the commentator.
Thank you. So, Gary looking positive then, and we're delighted that this man is on the grid as our guest for this weekend, courtesy of BMW and the DTM, of course, Alex Zanardi. What a fantastic man, and he was really, really quick in free practice 3, and then in qualifying it was a 1:50.2, which puts him at the back row of the grid, but Alex Zanardi will be going for it, of course. There is Bruno Spengler. His qualifying time, a 1:48.315, means he's just ahead of Alex Zanardi as we take a look at the sort of back end of the grid, if you like, for this DTM race. So the raindrops continuing to come down. Here's Verena once again.
So here in Misano, we've got a 19th driver, and that is Alex Zanardi, our star driver, and we're very excited that you're driving in the DTM this weekend. Yesterday already you made 13th place. So tell us about it. How is it driving in the DTM, and especially how exactly does it work in this special car?
It is fantastic to be here, I have to admit. Frankly, I was hoping for a little more stable weather condition in order to learn and to bring what I'd learned onto the next moment. Well, this did not happen, but nevertheless, yesterday I had a decent race. It's of course harder for me to manage everything when the situation is so difficult because I'm doing everything with my hands. Since we have changed the set of controls, which allows me to drive the car, replacing the normal brake pedal, which I was operating with my prosthetic legs, with a lever that I use with my right arm in order to apply the pressure it takes to slow the car down.
But despite the fact that it's a big challenge, it is fun out there, right? And it's fun to drive for DTM?
Oh, yeah. I feel like a kid in a candy shop. Although, I have to say, the best toys I cannot reach because I'm always P last.
But you certainly are the sweetest candy in DTM. It's wonderful to have you here. So enjoy this race and best of luck for it. And back to the commentator.
Thanks so much. What a great man, Alex Zanardi then. Here comes the grid for race number 2 in Misano. pole position. Loic Duval, alongside him is Eduardo Mortara. To row 2 of the grid, Daniel Juncadella, Mike Rockefeller. Just hearing that Daniel Juncadella may be starting on wets. René Rast and Marco Wittmann go on the 3rd row of the grid. It's P5 and P6. Then it's Nico Müller and Gary Paffett. Of course, he wants to bank points from that P8 position following his DNF in the race yesterday. Timo Glock and Paul di Resta are 1 row behind on the 5th row, P9 and P10. Then we find Pascal Wehrlein and Joel Eriksson going from P11 and P12. Then it's Lucas Auer and Augusto Farfus, P13 and P14, rounding out the 7th row of the grid for the second DTM night race at Misano, with Robin Freins and Philipp Eng, P15 and P16. Robin Freins, of course, on the podium yesterday. Jamie Green and Bruno Spengler, with Alex Zanardi bringing up the rear in that number 12 guest car for this weekend. That's your grid for this DTM race. Here's the drivers' teams. These are the team standings, not the driver standings. Mercedes P1, 2 and 3 on 269, 233 and 228 points respectively. Mercedes having a really good time of it here in the DTM for 2018. So the rain appears to have abated now. We had a sharp shower, and there, alongside the Joel Eriksson car, are the wet weather tyres. Now, Rocky, Rast and Wittmann, we think, are on wets. Duval, Paffett and Muller are on slicks at the moment. That's what my spies tell me, who are down there on the grid. Well, we will find out what is the right tyre to be on in just a few moments' time. There's the young Austrian Lucas Auer then about to jump into his car. His qualifying time of 1:47.3 puts him P13 on the grid. In the meantime, here is Pascal Wehrlein going from P11 and 1:47.1 for Pascal Wehrlein, then former Formula One star, back into the DTM, and of course the youngest ever DTM champion, Pascal Wehrlein, climbs into his Mercedes-Benz. This is Paul di Resta, who of course is chasing Gary Paffett in the Drivers' Championship in terms of the points. He's on wet weather tyres. So Paul di Resta just managed to catch the fact that the wets are going onto his car. You can see that by the blue colour indication on the Hankook notification on those tyres. So Paul di Resta is going with wets, as is Timo Glock, as you can see here. Timo Glock going from P9 on the grid, the BMW driver. And you can see inside the car as Timo Glock's belts are finally tightened, and the tension and anticipation begins to build for the start of this DTM Race 2. Under the lights here in Misano. Gary Paffett then, P8, 4th row start for Gary Paffett. Now, he too, looks like Gary Paffett is on the wet weather tyres. If we get another shot, big thumbs up from Gary. Be hoping for a better result than he achieved yesterday, through no fault of his own, it has to be said. And there is Nico Müller going from P7 on the grid for the Castrol Edge Audi RS5 DTM driver, 1:46.762 for Nico Müller. Now, as you can see, the soles of his shoes being rubbed there by one of his engineers, because of course you need to have maximum grip on those pedals. Marco Wittmann, two-time DTM champion, is going from P6 on the grid. 55 minutes plus 1 lap, mandatory pit stop as well. And the René Rast car, I think, is still up on the jacks, isn't it? So there is René Rast. I have a feeling that René Rast was on the wet weather tyres as well. And what we did find is that this track here at Misano does dry quite quickly. And there is the car of Mike Rockefeller. That's definitely on the wet weather treaded tyres as well. So Mike Rockefeller goes on the wet weather tyres. And he goes from P4 on the grid for Mike Rockefeller. What can the number 99 car do from there? His best result in the season so far, of course, that P2 right at the start of the season in Hockenheim, where he's involved in that tremendous battle with Gary Paffett and Timo Glock. Daniel Juncadella on the wet weather tyres as well. He had a very good qualifying session, taking his maiden win, of course, in the DTM this year at the Brands Hatch circuit. And there's Edo Mortara also going on the wet weather tyres. So both Danny Juncadella and Edo Mortara are on wets. Wonder if we can see what Loic Duval is on. Same on the wet weather tyres for Loic Duval. So insofar as we can ascertain, looking through the grid, we know who's on what. We are in Misano, in the province of Rimini, the DTM premiere here with 2 night races. And what a lovely part of Italy to be in. It's a phenomenal country. It really is full of great architecture, incredible resort, of course, here on the Adriatic coast, and lovely people as well. It's but you could just spot me there in the middle there doing some exercising. Only joking. It is a fantastic place, and here at the Circuit Mark Simoncelli, we can see the grid for race 14 of 20. Loic Duval and Edo Mortara going from the front row of the grid. It is the Misano World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, and we're running through the starting grid for you in graphics so you can see who is going from where. Once again, in almost repetition of everything I've said previously, you cannot take race 1's results as a form guide for race number 2. Loic Duval will be going from pole position in the Audi with an extraordinary qualifying time, the only driver to put it in the 145s. This is Daniel Juncadella, who's going from P3 on the grid. So very good qualifying from the Mercedes-Benz driver, who, as I mentioned, made his DTM maiden victory at Brands Hatch in the UK. And some of the spectators here recording some of the action down there on the grid as the cars are about to get away for their 55-minute race plus 1 lap. There is Edo Mortara. Of course, finished on the podium yesterday. Another good qualifying from Edo Mortara, going from P2 on the grid for the car with a slightly different colour than we've been used to seeing with Edo Mortara, as the grid girls leave the grid area, and Loic Duval will lead them away with that 145.983, doing a fantastic job in qualifying. Loic Duval, of course, hugely experienced racing driver, and really good to have him in the DTM. So focus and concentration right at the start of the race, as always, and just before the start of the race. That's a great camera shot, isn't it? Looking at the pole-sitting car on the left-hand side of the grid. Once again, absolutely delighted to welcome alongside me in commentary. That is Thomas Biaggi. As we look at the driver standings, it couldn't be closer at the top. 177 points to 176 points for Paul di Resta. And critically, of course, Gary Paffett yesterday, Thomas, did not finish the race, did he? So it was no points.
Yes, no points. As he says, today is another day, is a brand new, let's say, night.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
And first of all, as Italian, I apologize for the weather. It's not the typical Italian weather here in Misano, and the temperature and the weather condition drop from the last 2 days from very sunny weather. But anyway, this condition gave us a fantastic show last night, and I'm sure tonight.
I think you're absolutely right, and here is the track. Of course, it's a track that you know well, Thomas. You've driven it many, many times, haven't you, in your supreme motor racing career, both GT and, of course, I first met you when you were racing in touring cars back in the International Superstars days, and you know this track really well. It's a tricky track to learn, isn't it, and get absolutely right, Thomas?
Yeah, it's for sure is a tricky track to learn because as we saw and as we will see, you can use and you have to use a lot of the curves, the grass,
yes,
all the centimeters of the track to find the best line, especially in the chicane, but anyway, everywhere in the Mickey Mouse, in the first part of the track, in the hairpin. So it's not easy to find the line and the right pace.
Well, Thomas Biaggi will be giving us his professional viewpoint during the course of the racing. We'll tell you more about what Thomas Biaggi is up to now. He's very much helping young drivers in terms of guiding them in their career, and also with simulator work as well. And we'll speak more about that during the course of the race. Delighted to have Tom Biaggi alongside us once again as we look at Edoardo Mortara, who is going from P2 on the grid. So that is slick tyres for the car of Joel Eriksson, I'm sure. So the number 47 car. I have to say, as I looked at the tarmac, it looked to me like it was almost bone dry. And the thing is, Thomas, this is where it's a bit misleading, because we're looking at it under floodlights and obviously through the television cameras as well. And it's not presumably until the cars go out on their formation lap that they will know what the grip levels are like. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. In my opinion, this is the most difficult condition because The track for sure is not ready for slick tires.
Okay.
Also because the asphalt temperature in the night is not like during the day. There is a low asphalt temperature, but in the meantime the wet tire, in my opinion, will not last too much because there is not water on track to keep down, cool down the tires, the temperature of the tires. So will be tricky for the driver to manage that condition.
Let's see what they do. We're told that all the Audis are on wet weather tyres. Okay. That's the information that we are being able to feed back to you. Of course, as we look at the cars, we try and ID what rubber they're running on. But of course, they have a mandatory pit stop in any event. So depending on what the track conditions are like and what they find now on this formation lap, they can choose to pit really early on. And a strategy, of course, always plays a part. We've seen races this year, the face of which have been changed because of the strategy that has been employed by the teams and the drivers. But insofar as we are aware, I think the greater majority of the cars are on the wet weather tyres. Maybe some will have taken a gamble. In the Drivers' Championship, it couldn't be closer. Look, just 1 point between Gary Paffett and Paul di Resta, and Gary Paffett is starting ahead of Paul di Resta by 2 places in this particular race. And there is our guest driver, Alex Zanardi. He really is an inspiration. He's just a wonderful man, Thomas, and a wonderful ambassador for your country and indeed for motorsport too.
Yeah, I know very well Alessandro Zanardi since 30 years maybe.
Yes.
And it is really a lovely man, a very positive person. He's a great ambassador of all around the world. And I regret that the wet conditions for him are not helpful because in my opinion with this hand brake leverage is not easy to modulate the brake pressure as it is for the driver that they have. They run and drive with the brake pedal.
Of course.
So he did extremely well in the free practice P5, and I'm sorry he found the wet that doesn't help him at all.
No, you're absolutely right. Uli Fritz for Mercedes-Benz looking on. We've been in the garages of BMW and Audi as well. As the cars in front of our commentary studio, you think it's thunder and lightning in front of us. It isn't. It's the sound of these wonderful DTM cars. A sound which, Thomas, you know because you have driven one of these cars, haven't you?
Yes. In 2013 in Valencia, and it was with BMW was one of the most beautiful experience of my career.
And it's been a glittering year for Thomas Biaggi, who's with us in comms as we await the final car, which is that of Alex Zanardi, to move into his grid box millimetrically perfectly. The man on pole position is Loic Duval. We're about to get the second race under the lights away here at Misano. We get the green flag from the marshal at the rear. Here comes the start sequence then. We throw the lights to the top of the screen for you. We await 5 red lights. When they go out, we will be away and racing. So Loic Duval and Eduardo Mortara. Mortara gets a much better start than Loic Duval. Loic Duval is being mugged right at the start here as 3, 4, 5 cars going past the Audi driver. Edo Mortara is the first of those to do so and finds himself leading the race as all the cars go through. And now I think that's Loic Duval who's been turned around. One car has to take to the escape road. But all manner of things going on right at the start. 3, 4 abreast now. So as they go into the next turn, we can see bits of bodywork coming off the cars. Cars running wide here as they're searching for grip. Of course, this is the first and the opening lap. It wasn't Loic Duval that went around, I don't think. But to be fair, with the really challenging conditions in terms of visibility, it's difficult to identify sometimes who it was that went around. But it wasn't Loic Duval. There's Lucas Auer. He's making his way up the order, and Timo Glock receiving some attention from the René Rast car behind. And that's the battle going on for P5 at the moment. So the race is underway. This is the first opening lap then, and there you can see Robin Freins alongside Mike Rockefeller and Paul di Resta in the Mercedes-Benz ahead of them. Nico Muller in the Audi is ahead as well, and Robin Freins tries to put himself to the inside of Paul di Resta, not able to do so. So the order is Eduardo Mortara, who is leading the race. The spray coming off his car, as you can see. Then it's Daniel Juncadella for Mercedes-Benz. Then it is Loic Duval and Timo Glock. So visibility for the cars that are, of course, following. It's always very difficult because the spray is being thrown up. And actually, you know what? Edo Mortara is under a bit of pressure here from the Spanish driver, Daniel Juncadella, who is sticking with him here. Edo Mortara, of course, has got the ability to see where he's going. There's no spray coming from any car in front of him because there are no cars in front of him. Though, to be fair, there is very little standing water now. So Mortara, Junkadea, Duval, Glock, Rast, then it is Nico Muller. And then we find Paul di Resta, Robin Freins, Mike Rockefeller, Gary Paffett, and you can see the order on the ticker across your screen. So there is Timo Glock in the all-yellow BMW, and in straight away comes Marco Wittmann. Instant in turn number 2 is under investigation. So Marco Wittmann is the first of the drivers to come in and make that mandatory pit stop. Every driver has to come in at some point to make a stop. And, well, we'll see if the dice that has been rolled by Marco Wittmann is the right decision. Edo Mortara leading Daniel Junkadea, and then it is Loic Duval, Timo Glock, René Rast, and Wittmann then in. And we can only assume, Thomas, that they've put slick tyres on the car of Marco Wittmann.
Yeah, but what we saw, for sure, the sector 3 is not definitely is not good for slick tire, and sector 1 and 2 are. It looks the track is more dry, but sector 3 you see the spray, and especially in a very, very, very fast corner.
Yes.
That means is not for me is not at all the right moment to fit a slick tire. In here you can see.
Whoa, Robin Freins then, who had got past Paul di Resta, then di Resta came back at him, and now Robin Freins has finally put himself ahead of Paul di Resta after a couple of turns where they were absolutely side by side. So Robin Freins putting himself ahead of Paul di Resta. That's for P7 in the race. Then Paul di Resta came back at him and got alongside and then got past. But Gary Paffett, of course, has dropped way down the order. He's down there in P10, and Paul di Resta is ahead of him. So in terms of the championship points, it's absolutely crucial, isn't it? Because Paul di Resta now ahead of Gary Paffett. So wonder actually whether Paffett was one of the cars that was involved in that early incident that we were trying to identify right at the start of the race. On board with Pascal Wehrlein now, who's chasing down Jamie Green, who's in P12 in the Audi ahead of him. In front of Jamie Green is Lucas Auer. So Marco Wittmann then has come in for his mandatory stop. Paul di Resta is going to be given the black and white flag for forcing another car off the track. That was the incident with Robin Freins. Black and white flag, Thomas, that's just a warning, isn't it?
Exactly, it's a warning, especially happen when you go out with four-wheel over the white line. Sometimes when you use too much of the track, you go even outside the track. So sometimes can happen after 3 times, then you get penalized.
Okay. So Paul di Resta then forcing Robin Freins to take to the air there, as you could see. And that's why he has been given the warning flag. So there is the car that's running in P2. That is Daniel Junkadea chasing down Edo Mortara. Edo Mortara leading the race, 7/10 over Daniel Junkadea. Both of them up the road from Loic Duval, who of course started P1 pole position, but didn't get away, as well as the 2 Mercedes. And those 3 have really broken away from Timo Glock, René Rast. Then it's Nico Muller, Robin Freins, and Paul di Resta in the next block of cars, as you can see. In now comes Timo Glock. So Timo Glock, with years and years and years of racing experience. Of course, former Formula 1 star. He's making his way down the pit lane now. Also in is Mike Rockefeller and Augusto Farfus. So let's watch these pit stops here. So Timo Glock is in. Not quite close enough to absolutely make sure that there are. We can only imagine that they're putting slick tyres on the car of the BMW. So now, of course, these tyres are going to be cold as well. So for the first few hundred metres, that's going to be a really difficult car to control, isn't it?
Extremely difficult to warm up the tyre, but especially again in the Curva Grande, in the Curvone, there is a 6th gear corner, very fast. We saw the track is very, I want to say almost wet, so will be not easy to manage the car for that driver, and in my opinion is too early call for slick tire at the moment. Will be not easy to manage to put the tire in the proper range of temperature and pressure.
Okay, well, We have 4 drivers that we feel have probably done that. Those drivers are Mike Rockefeller, Timo Glock, Augusto Farfus and Marco Wittmann, and we'll keep an eye on the timing screen to see what sort of times they're delivering once those tyres have been warmed up and they've done a few laps on them. Edo Mortara then still leading now. Nico Müller is under pressure from Robin Freins. This is the battle that's going on for P6 in the race. Just literally a handful of tenths between the two of them here. So Nico Müller in the number 51 car, Robin Freins in the number 4 car. Robin Freins, of course, buoyed with that the confidence of taking a podium yesterday. The Robin Freins in the number 4 car finished P2. In now comes Gary Paffett. No further action for the incident in turn number 2, just considered a racing incident, as Robin Freins puts himself alongside Nico Müller, but just has to yield, and Nico Müller stays ahead of the Robin Freins car. So in comes Gary Paffett. And Gary Paffett on his way out. Philipp Eng on his way out as well. Also stopping is Bruno Spengler. So there is Nico Müller still ahead of Robin Freins. Whatever Robin Freins has been able to throw at the Nico Müller car ahead, he's not been able to go by yet. And Paul di Resta just champing at the bit to try and find his way past the two of them if he can. Came very close with Robin Freins just a couple of laps or so ago, but has not been able to remount that challenge, if you like. So Mortara, Juncadella, Duval, Rast, Müller, Freins, di Resta. So as you can see, cars now rejoining. Now they're going to be on cold tyres, and they're going to be easy prey for the cars that have been out there, of course. So you can see Timo Glock getting past with ease. And we have some 7 cars that have stopped. Paffett, Eng, Glock, Spengler, Rockefeller, Farfus and Wittmann. Again, trying to find a way past Nico Müller. What Robin Freins is doing here is just showing his face into the rearview mirrors of the Nico Müller car. Here comes Paul di Resta diving to the inside. Takes a different line going into turn number 1. Lucas Auer and Jamie Green have come into the pit lane now for their mandatory stop. 55 minutes plus 1 lap this race duration. Here comes Jamie Green then and Lucas Auer. Down the pit lane they come in the number 53 and the number 22 car.
Copy.
So tyres standing by, and Paul di Resta has found a way past Robin Freins. We didn't see that live because we were looking at the pit lane, but Paul di Resta has managed to put himself ahead of Robin Freins, and now he's going after Nico Müller. So a real turn of pace from Paul di Resta here. Now, whether Robin Freins perhaps made a mistake, there's a very, very, very fast Mercedes-Benz behind Nico Müller now. He gets to the inside of the Nico Müller Audi. But of course, Nico Müller is using as much of the tarmac as he can. And Paul di Resta is just slotting himself behind, but now on the inside of Nico Müller. But the inside here for Paul di Resta, as they head down the back, gives him the inside of the kink, and that was a very good move by Paul di Resta. So in 1 lap, Thomas has managed to get past both Nico Müller and Robin Freins. We didn't see the overtake on Robin Freins, but Müller is fighting back. But a good drive in there from the Mercedes-Benz driver, Paul di Resta.
Yes. The last overtake I saw, it was very, very well done. It was very clean, smooth, but very aggressive. He put under big pressure Verline, so here we can see.
This was the first move. Robin Freins ran wide. Well, that was quite physical, wasn't it? Paul di Resta said thanks very much, but in fairness to Paul di Resta, he had the grip to be able to go on the inside there, didn't he? He didn't run wide, so...
Right, Freins, he went a little bit too wide, and
yes.
di Resta took immediately the opportunity to pass him, and then it made another very nice maneuver. So di Resta is managing good virtual points for the championship.
Well, Augusto Farfus we were looking at there with an overtake. Nico Müller took the opportunity to come into the pit lane. So too did Pascal Wehrlein. So now we have merely 6 cars that have not pitted. Everyone else has pitted, and you can see just how they're really, really struggling for grip. And this is something that you really predicted. I mean, we can see Philipp Eng out there. just looks like the car is so very twitchy. He's got Augusto Farfus behind him, making his way up the start-finish straight now. Of course, when the cars first come out of the pit lane, you've got to get at least a lap in to get some temperature into those tyres. But as you've made the point, Thomas Biaggi, of course it's colder, isn't it? Because it is at night time, and therefore the ambient temperature is not as great. Therefore, I assume it takes you longer to warm those tyres up.
Yes, I was watching the lap time of Timo Glock, and 1 minute 46.0 compared to the leader and the fastest driver. There are more than 3 seconds. That means was a bit too early maybe to fit a slick tire. This is, I think, is a good reference to know.
That was exactly what you indicated. You felt it was too early, but now in comes Loic Duval. Also coming in is Paul di Resta. Will this be a better time, perhaps, to change those tyres? Well, let's see. In comes Loic Duval, and in comes Paul di Resta. So Paul di Resta, we'd seen him make 2 overtakes. He got past the car of, well, there you can see they are definitely the slicks that are standing by to go on the Paul di Resta car, and Loic Duval gets the back end of the car sliding, and he makes his way out of the pit lane. So too does Paul di Resta now. So we're a few laps further on, and therefore perhaps Loic Duval and Paul di Resta feel now is the first opportunity really to change those.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if it works for them. We'll keep an eye on the lap times and see what who is delivering what. For the moment, that means René Rast, of course, is up to P2. Robin Fines is P3, and Alex Zanardi is running P4 in the race.
Yeah, we are happy. As yesterday, also we saw Zanardi in P4 during the safety car. Remember
exactly.
Of the race, and it's nice to see him in that position, even if he has still to change to make his mandatory pit stop.
So here we have Timo Glock and Lucas Auer fighting side by side. And Timo Glock ahead of the Mercedes-Benz of Lucas Auer. Timo Glock then in the number 16 BMW. So Timo Glock ahead of Lucas Auer, having got past that Mercedes-Benz. Next in the target sights of Timo Glock will be the British driver Jamie Green, as Lucas Auer is weaving from side to side. Again, that's to generate temperature, isn't it?
Exactly. Here we saw Timo Glock is struggling with the tire, with the temperature of the tire. We saw he locked the 4 wheels, I saw, under braking, because still the tire are not in his proper range temperature. Now we saw from this camera it's going
raining.
Yeah. Now is really.
Well, this is Marco Wittmann in. Look, he's got wet weather tyres going back onto the Marco Wittmann car.
Yeah.
So all those that have taken the gamble to go onto the dry tyres, and the big loser here is Loic Duval. He was only just into the pit lane. Look at this. You can see the car going everywhere there, trying to control. Loic Duval has dived into the pit lane straight away. This is Daniel Juncadella, of course, on those slick weather tyres. The rain has come just at the wrong time, hasn't it, Thomas?
Yeah, I told you it was too early to try to run on slick because the Sector 3 condition, and now we saw what is going to happen. And I'm just wondering that they didn't have a clear picture of the weather forecast on the pit as well, you know, to see where the rain is going.
Yeah. Well, the big beneficiaries are going to be the likes of Edo Mortara, René Rast, Robin Frijns, Alex Zanardi and Joel Eriksson.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they didn't come in to change their tyres, assuming, and we can assume from the times that they're showing, that they are on the wet weather tyres. But now you can see all those that have come in previously are coming back in again.
Yeah, it's very chaotic moment on the pit lane here in Misano. And we have a kind of English weather, like Silverstone.
Knew you were going to say that, just knew it. Here comes Mike Rockenfeller out then, just ahead of the Timo Glock car. So, Mortara, Rast, Frijns, Zanardi, Erickson then. We've got a yellow flag there as Joel Eriksson runs off. Look, and the rain really is coming down now, Thomas. There's no doubting that. So, what is it like when it's raining like this and you are on a car that is shod with slick tyres. Everyone says like driving on ice. Is that true?
Yeah. Driving, sometimes saying driving on ice is even too kind.
Oh, really?
For me, it happened several times in Spa-Francorchamps during the 24-hour.
Yeah.
And sometimes because you lose a lot of time when you have to change the tires, especially.
Oh, he spun it.
Spun.
Danny Junckadea, that's right at the entrance to the pit lane around turn number 16. He donuts the car, and surely from there now he's going to... Oh! This is a really difficult situation because what Daniel Junckadea now is almost blocking pit in.
Right.
Jamie Green just avoided, Lucas Au just avoided as well. That's a really, really difficult place. Daniel Junckadea does manage to get the car going into the pit lane now to avoid any other... Cool, that could have been a really nasty incident, couldn't it?
Yeah. When I was saying, when you are on slick tires with this condition of track, is really a nightmare to drive.
As we can see.
Yeah, is a moment where you don't love so much your work. Sometimes it's critical, and here we can see. But saying is driving on ice really is even more difficult with so much torque, so much power, yes. And in this condition on slick tire is really a drama. Well,
here is Edo Mortara. And right behind Edo Mortara now is the car of Loic Duval. So Loic Duval, who of course has been in the pit lane, and Edo Mortara of course has not. Those that haven't pitted yet are Mortara, Rast, Robin Freins and Alex Zanardi. We're on board with René Rast then, who is effectively running in P2. And the conditions, well, the weather conditions have changed so much during the course of the day, which have affected the free practice sessions, qualifying sessions, and now very much affecting the race as well. There is Nico Muller. So Joel Eriksson has been in the pit lane once. Green, Duval, Auer, Junckadea, De Resta, Muller, Farfus, Rockefeller, Glock, Spengler, Paffett, Eng, Wehrlein and Wittmann have all been in the pit lane twice. Here is Alex Zanardi then. Another one of the wise drivers, isn't he, Thomas? Because he's on the wet weather tyres.
Yes, I saw the front bump of Zanardi car. I think he has a damage on the front of the car, but not really big damage, but huge.
Okay. So Alex Zanardi then running in that P4 position. That is, of course, pre-pit stop, but he has the advantage of only having to stop once, whereas many other drivers have had to stop 2 times. The rain coming just at the wrong time for many. Edo Mortara then, he continues on his way. He's being chased by Loic Duval, but don't read too much into that because Loic Duval has stopped twice. Here is Robin Freins. So Robin Freins then, another one of those drivers that running in that P3 position as Lucas Auer is out, and that car is not returning from there. Now that's on wet weather tyres as well.
Yep.
So that proves how challenging the conditions are. This is in turn 15, second from last turn. And Loic Duval is trying to get past Edo Mortara here. Of course, Loic Duval will be on fresher wet weather tyres, won't he? Because he's been in the pit lane. But
yes.
This is not a challenge for the race lead. But Lucas Auer, where that car is situated, whether they're going to... Yes, I was about to say whether we're going to get a safety car, Thomas.
Safety car, right. So, what a race.
Wow. Wasn't sure that we would get any more drama. And that look, he just tipped one wheel off, and that's enough, isn't it? And the car skates across the gravel. The gravel does its job, slows the car right down, and he just kisses the tyre barriers. But then, when you give it a footful of accelerator, you just dive into the gravel, don't you?
Exactly, that's what happened. The condition, I think, is very critical because there is a sector of the circuit where I don't want to say dry, but there is much less water on track.
Okay, yes.
And in that part of the track, the rain tires suffer. So the pattern of the rain tires suffer a lot. And then you find a part of the track where there is heavy rain. So it's really a situation not easy to manage for the drivers to survive.
To survive, yes. Safety car then leads the cars around. It's Edo Mortara, René Rast, Robin Freins. And there is the safety car picking up the car of Edo Mortara. Loic Duval, of course, who has been in the pit lane.
I'm very surprised, Dave, about the pace of Alex Zanardi at the moment. He's driving really well. He's driving in a very good pace. I'm watching him in the last 4 or 5 laps. He's doing really, really, really well. Excellent.
Really pleased to hear that. So Alex Zanardi then, who is featuring in this race, that's for sure. So Mortara, Rast, Freins and Zanardi, the only 4 drivers that have not pitted, and the rest of the drivers all have, and with the exception of Joel Eriksson, everyone has pitted twice. Here's a replay of the start. So who went round at the start? Because I thought initially it might have been Loic Duval, but it wasn't. So there's Danny Ucadea, Edo Mortara. They all got brilliant starts. Loic Duval did not get a good start at all. On board with Mike Rockenfeller. So Duval really in the middle there. It was Rast that got turned around. And Mike Rockenfeller had to take evasive action and run down the escape road. So it was Rast actually that we saw sideways on. And that was why, because there was a little bit of a tap there from Timo Glock on the car of René Rast. Here we can see it again. So Loic Duval was there, and that's perhaps why there was the confusion at that point. We couldn't see terribly clearly. So this was Loic Duval and Daniel Ucadea. And Danny Ucadea then in the number 23 car. I mean, the car was whale-tailing already, wasn't he? He got it on the grass. And this was some more of the incidents of cars going out. Now, Nico Muller here skating through the gravel. What he did there, he kept his foot in, though, to keep the car going, because once you stop, you've had it, haven't you?
Absolutely right, but drivers find a lot of difficult condition there. You saw the water on track was heavy rain. I don't remember in this period so heavy rain here in Misano, here in Italy. We are still in August.
I was going to say, it's summer holidays, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
You live not maybe 25 minutes from here. You know what the weather is like here, and these are really odd weather conditions.
Right. Normally we have such a kind of weather in November sometime, but not in August.
Well, what it is doing, it's throwing up plenty of drama for us. There is the number 22 car of Lucas Auer. And Lucas Auer coming into the pit lane, and I rather feel that this will be a race retirement potentially for the number 22 car of Lucas Auer. Now, of course, that it has been recovered from being up against the barriers. Safety car is coming in this lap, and that's just the back end of the car went around, and once that's gone, you are but a passenger. Yeah, that's it. Bogs down, doesn't it, and digs itself in. So that, sadly, is the end of the race for Lucas Auer. It's been a fruitless weekend for him here in Misano, that's for sure. So, no Indianapolis restart. Which is
dangerous.
Too dangerous because of the weather conditions. So that means it's going to be line astern behind the safety car then. All the cars lined up in one line, and the safety car is coming in this lap. So we will go back to racing. And bear in mind, still to stop, Mortara, Rast, Freins, Zanardi, and Joel Eriksson. So there is Lucas Auer, who's out of the car and sadly will take no further part in this race. We have just under 30 minutes plus one lap of the race to be done, and the safety car will peel off into the pit lane. It will be the responsibility of Edo Mortara to back them all up. What he's got is a bit of a wingman in terms of Loic Duval, who of course is out of position, and that means that Edo Mortara gives it a footful then as the safety car peels off, and it will be Edo Mortara that will lead the restart of this race when we get round to the final turns number 15 and 16. So lights still on the safety car, but it is definitely coming in at this lap. And all the drivers weaving from side to side. Now all of a sudden, Thomas, you can see all the spray now, and we didn't even have this much spray at the beginning of the race, did we?
Exactly. There is a lot of water on track, especially in that part. and it's not easy. I mean, Mortara will have an advantage if can keep the lead, as I'm sure, because he has a clear track in front, and on his windscreen there is much less water compared to who is following him.
Sure.
And in this condition and in this part of the track, in the Curvone, which is very fast, is for sure is an advantage. Who is in the middle of the key is really tough.
So, Edo Mortara then heads up towards the timing line. Loic Duval weaving from side to side. René Rast wants to get past as quickly as he can. And Robin Freins also trying to get past the Mercedes-Benz as well to get back to the real race order. But the restart then has been got underway. No Indianapolis restart for this particular restart because the conditions too challenging. So the cars making their way through to this is a really hard part of the circuit where you almost have to run off the line, don't you, Thomas, to get the momentum you need?
Yeah, exactly. Especially here on the, as I say, on the grass over the curb, the track is even much more slippery.
Yes.
And it's not easy to manage to find the best line and to find the grip and to have a traction, which is very important to have traction in Misano in several corners.
Yes.
You need a lot of traction, but now for sure is a problem.
So here we can see Jamie Green and Augusto Farfus. Augusto Farfus putting himself ahead of the Jamie Green Audi. And it is the car of Edo Mortara that we look at now that is leading the race. Being chased by Loic Duval and René Rast, but don't read too much into the Loic Duval position of that car because he has, of course, been into the pit lane. Look at the standing water around certain parts of this track. A point you made earlier on, Thomas, is that it affects some parts of the track more than others.
Yes, I was wondering if also there is an effect due to different kind of asphalt as well.
Okay.
Where because I don't understand honestly. Now it looks to me it's not raining, and but there is a crash.
That is a BMW that has gone around there, isn't it? And it is the car of Augusto Farfus, car number 15. I thought it was a BMW, and it is Augusto Farfus who lost the back end of the car, went around, connected with the barriers right on the start-finish straight, and sadly it looks like there's damage there. He was on the inside of Nico Muller, and then just lost the back end of the car. I don't think there was contact initially, and then he makes impact side on to the barriers here, and that was quite an impact.
You know, it happened to avoid the contact. Augusto went more on his steering wheel. He turned more the steering to the left, and then unfortunately lost the rear, and he went to a bad impact, unfortunately, with this BMW.
Well, sad to see. Augusto Farfus. This is Paul di Resta chasing down René Rast. Now, Mortara, Rast, Freins and Zanardi have not been into the pit lane yet. So Edo Mortara still to stop in this stage of the race. Of course, he is leading the race, but Loic Duval, of course, who has been into the pit lane, and Loic Duval, when this second phase of rain came down, Thomas, Loic Duval was the first of the cars to dive into the pit lane and therefore is the big beneficiary. Bear in mind, he started from pole position, lost a load of places right at the very start. But just how the cards have laid out for Loic Duval, he could be the big winner here, couldn't he? Because Edo Mortara has got to stop. Loic Duval is not going to, I assume, try too hard to get past Edo Mortara because ultimately he knows that at some point Mortara has got to come in. Yeah,
for sure, definitely. In this condition was a gamble for everybody on track, and I hope why don't change a little bit the rules for Alex Zanardi and avoid him to make the mandatory pit stop.
The other big beneficiary is going to be Joel Eriksson, because Joel Eriksson has only had to stop once. And Joel Eriksson is showing, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, as P5. Erikson has stopped. Therefore, it's going to be Joel Eriksson that will be the big winner here.
You're right. Absolutely.
And Joel Eriksson, of course, is a BMW DTM rookie. This would be his first win. So Joel Eriksson in car number 47. Very, very interesting. There's so much drama in this DTM race. On board with Mike Rockenfeller. And we await Mortara, Rast, Freins, Zanardi to come in. Joel Eriksson has made merely one pit stop, whereas everybody else has made two. That's where Joel Eriksson will win. In terms of the pit stops and the strategies, he just got it. Actually, he got it more right than Loic Duval.
You read extremely well the race.
Well, we don't know. It ain't over yet. We've still got another 23 minutes and one lap. Who knows what else could happen yet? So we will see. So Mortara, Rast, Freins, Zanardi, we know have got to stop. There is Nico Muller, there's Jamie Green, and there is Robin Freins in the Audi. Of course, he was on the podium yesterday. He took his maiden DTM podium. And across the timing line they go.
Unfortunately, I'm thinking the first four cars that they didn't pit, as you say, with all the cars so close.
And there's contact there. Now, that was Gary Paffett, who's had a torrid time of it this weekend. And Gary Paffett, and well, he makes a connection with the Bruno Spengler car, and Gary Paffett goes around. I'm sure we'll see that in replay. What a weekend he has had. Coming into this weekend, leading the Drivers' Championship, and, well, finds himself around again. So here we can see he takes to the curbs. He's on the inside of Bruno Spengler here. Then goes, falls behind Bruno Spengler. I apologise, it wasn't Bruno Spengler, it was Daniel Juncadella.
Right.
So, in fairness, if you see it from Gary Paffett's point of view, Thomas, yesterday, contact with Edo Mortara, another Mercedes driver, and now contact with Daniel Juncadella, another Mercedes driver. Although then when we look at it here,
you're right.
Now, who was in the right? Who was in the wrong there? Paffett on the outside, Juncadella on the inside.
Juncadella should avoid that contact, in my opinion.
Right.
Definitely is a place where, considering that the next corner is on the right side, is almost impossible to pass there.
Right. So, well, poor old Gary Paffett then turned around. Daniel Juncadella, who was really, really struggling for grip earlier on. In now comes the car of
Zanardi.
Alex Zanardi. Copy, Alex Zanardi then in for his mandatory stop. Team is standing by with another set of the Hankook wets to go on the car of Alex Zanardi. And you're right, you picked up on the damage at the front of the car earlier on. Can see that now. Zanardi stops it on the in the pit box, and the team go to work on the Alex Zanardi car, and 8.2 second stop. He's released back out into the pit lane. So Alex Zanardi then has had his mandatory stop. So now we're waiting three cars: Mortara, Rast, and Robin Freins. Mortara, Rast, and Robin Freins, the three cars that are yet to stop. So Alex Zanardi on his way out of the pit lane then. Guest driver in the number 12 car, that specially adapted BMW, to allow him to race in the DTM, and a very, very welcome addition into the DTM for this round. He has been as well here in Misano, as he lights the car up now on a fresh set of Hankook wets and gets back out into the race. So Alex Zanardi running wide across that section, that piece between turns 4 and 5, isn't it, Thomas? Where you almost have to run wide to get the right entry for turn number 5, don't you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And make me surprised how the DTM drivers are using the Misano track. As we say yesterday, for sure they had a permission from the clerk of the course to go over in some corners over the white line with the four wheels running on the grass. And but it surprised me, and I was thinking next time I come to Misano I would try this line. You know.
Edo Mortara, René Rast then, the two that we're making this comparison with now. There is René Rast, who's now having to defend from Paul di Resta. Paul di Resta behind the car of René Rast. Paul di Resta, of course, has stopped. René Rast has not stopped. No further action for the incident between Daniel Juncadella and Gary Paffett. It was considered a racing incident by the race stewarding team. So Mortara, Rast and Robin Freins, the three drivers that have yet to stop in the pit lane. And we've got 18 minutes plus one lap of the race remaining. This is DTM. We're live from Misano. And there is Loic Duval, René Rast then, and Paul di Resta, as di Resta takes a completely different line to René Rast. There is Eduardo Mortara, Loic Duval, and here then René Rast and Paul di Resta. So Joel Eriksson is P4 at the moment, but Joel Eriksson is the man that has managed to get away with one pit stop. Alex Zanardi as well, just one pit stop. So once everyone has come in and taken their mandatory pit stop, and we're awaiting three cars to do that, this being one of them, René Rast, and also Edo Mortara and Robin Freins. So, the back end of the Paul di Resta car proving just at times how little grip there is still out there on this 4.2 kilometre Misano circuit. It's been a real rain-affected race, as it was yesterday. One thing's for sure, Paul di Resta is ahead of Gary Paffett, and with regards to points haul, very important. So there we can see the number 47 car, Joel Eriksson, rookie in the DTM, running in P4. But bear in mind, the three cars that are ahead of him have not stopped yet. So that means that the big beneficiary is Joel Eriksson. Managed to get away with just one pit stop, and it came just at the right time. Here's Philipp Eng. There is Joel Eriksson in the BMW. So 16 and a half minutes plus one lap of this race remaining. He's got his BMW brand mate ahead of him. And of course, Alex Zanardi behind. Alex Zanardi is running in that P5 position. Another driver that has stopped merely once. A lot of the drivers came in, swapped onto the slick tyres, and just as they'd done that, of course, the heavens opened once again. There was more rain, and well, lo and behold, having to come back in for a second time to go on to another set of wet weather tyres. So Edo Mortara in car number 48 continues to lead the race, but I hasten to add he has got to make his mandatory pit stop and chooses not to do it on this lap. Staying out for a long time, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, I'm in deep thinking about the strategy of Mortara that you know, he was leading the race since the start. He had a fabulous start and fabulous first lap. But in my opinion, with this strategy, he should lose the leading of the race that he achieved on track, I mean.
Yes, interesting. Joel Eriksson, well, luck has played its hand, but he's had to pedal the car as well, and he is a very, very talented driver, no question about that. And Joel Eriksson in the number 47 car then, he started the season really, really well. Surprised us by taking a P4, I think, in race 2 at Hockenheim. He hasn't replicated that. I think the closest he got was a P6, and I think that came in Budapest. But nonetheless, Joel Eriksson, as you can see, is the first of the drivers that has stopped. So in the number 47 BMW. And here comes Alex Zanardi then. So Alex Zanardi then running in P5. Now, of course, Alex Zanardi, another driver you see, Thomas, that didn't, when all the drivers coming in were rushing in to put those slick tyres in, Alex Zanardi said, no, I'm staying out, didn't he? And, you know, he's another one that's benefited from only making one pit stop.
Yeah, the experience, and he knows very well Misano track, and he has an incredible experience, and he did the right choice. As I was saying at the beginning, there was for me no chance to fit a slick tire so early.
You did say that. In comes René Rast now. So René Rast is in. So that means the only two drivers still to stop, Edo Mortara and Robin Freins. So in comes René Rast in the number 33 car. The Rosberg team will go to work on that car straight away into his grid box now. The current DTM champion being guided into his box, millimetrically perfect onto his stops. And look how much he's taken out of those wet weather tyres, that's for sure. Of course, they've been out and on for such a long time. A good stop, 7 seconds. Rast is on his way back out of the pit lane again. Say a good stop relative to the conditions that we have here. So here comes René Rast making his way down the pit lane now. It's a really interesting pit lane layout here at Misano as well, where you miss out turns 1, 2, and then you join at turn 3, don't you?
Right. I was thinking that the driver are going to do the late pit stop for sure. They will have an advantage to run on fresh tires.
Yes.
And with such particular condition of the asphalt will be a big advantage, but Mortara will lose the leading of the race for sure, and then he will have to push very hard to try to be back on top.
Well, if we look at where Mortara is, and just look at the gap back to Robin Freins, it's some 10.4 seconds, isn't it? And Mortara again is continuing to stay out there. We've got 12.25 minutes of the race left, plus 1 lap. And there you can see him running really wide. So these wet weather tyres, providing the track is wet, Thomas, the Hankook wet weather tyres, they are very durable, but that is the tyres that are as old as they are, because let's be truthful, they've been on since the start of the race. They are not going to be as good in terms of working with the tarmac and also the water as someone like Alex Zanardi, for example, who has just come in.
Yeah, for sure. Mortara is out since the beginning of the race, and he's having a very good pace, and I expect that when he will change the tire, for sure, he will improve very, very much his pace, his own pace.
But he's running out of time, isn't he? Because we only have 11.25 minutes left, plus 1 lap. This is Joel Eriksson and Gary Paffett in the Mercedes-Benz, which of course Gary Paffett has been around. There was contact with himself and Daniel Juncadella. So Joel Eriksson here and Gary Paffett absolutely side by side here. And Gary trying his level best to get further up the order, of course, and try and overtake Joel Eriksson here. The order really is muddled up because of the fact that a number of drivers have stopped 2 times. Some drivers have only stopped once. Paffett is one of those that stopped 2 times, but nonetheless he's trying to get himself as far up the order as he possibly can, and does make his way past the Joel Eriksson car now. And but now he runs wide, and Joel Eriksson fights back, but it's almost futile for Joel Eriksson to be fighting too hard here, because it kind of matters not.
I was wondering that Mortara and Freins are taking also a big risk, because in case there is a safety car, they will lose their advantage, and then they will have, if they will have for sure to pit, they will lose a lot of position.
Which will double up their loss, because they've already lost 1, haven't they, because of the safety car earlier on. They would have, that's 1 hit almost, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
So there is Joel Eriksson then, showing us running in P3, but the cars ahead of him, Robin Freins and Edo Mortara, have not stopped. Now, the difference between Joel Eriksson and René Rast is a huge amount of time. It's some 21.3 seconds between René Rast, who effectively is P2. Joel Eriksson is effectively P1. Then Mortara and Freins, when they do eventually choose to stop. So Edo Mortara then continuing his quest on tyres which are as old as the race is, because they've been on that car since the start of the race, and that's true of Robin Freins as well, who's some nearly 13 seconds behind Eduardo Mortara. at the moment. So there is the Robin Freins car, and lined up behind Robin Freins, as you can see, it's the car of Nico Müller. As at last, in comes Edo Mortara.
I think he was waiting so much to try to make more gap as possible compared to Erickson, to don't be behind him after the pit stop. Because 28.8 seconds, they are close, in my opinion.
Well, let's see. Here's Edo Mortara then in. What he needs is a good stop from the team here.
Anyway, Zanardi is in a fabulous fifth position, and he's running very, very fast. 1:45.1 is one very good lap time.
Well done, Alex Zanardi.
Fabulous.
So, here you can see Edo Mortara making his way down the pit lane speed limit, of course, and Edo Mortara making his way down the pit lane now. He will rejoin the track at turn number 3. The leader now is Robin Freins, but Robin Freins is yet to stop, and we've got just under 8 minutes plus 1 lap of the race to do. So here comes Edoardo Mortara making his way back out onto track once again, having now made his mandatory pit stop. When it comes to the end of the race, will the strategy have worked for Edoardo Mortara? There is Robin Freins. And there you can see Robin Freins ahead of the car of Mike Rockefeller, behind the car of Jamie Green. So the number 4 Audi of Robin Freins, when will he choose to come in and pit and get his pit lane done, dusted and out of the way? So Robin Freins now dials his way through the turn, with the Audi driver Mike Rockefeller behind, and behind Mike Rockefeller, Nico Müller sliding the car through the turn. As Robin Freins searches for grip here, he chooses not to come in this time, makes his way up to the timing line now.
Strange, because Freins was his lap time was even slower compared to Zanardi lap time, so when he want to fit fresh tires to get an advantage from them, you know.
Well, here is side by side, and just a little bit of contact there between the Mercedes and the BMW.
Just a kiss.
Just a kiss. Love
French
tap.
kiss, maybe.
So Robin Freins, Joel Eriksson, there's, what have we got, 18.410. And when you consider the pit in and the time it takes, Robin Freins here doing his level best to try and get as far up the road as he possibly can. We're on board with René Rast now, who is effectively running P3. Edo Mortara has filtered back out into P2 effectively, because Robin Freins is yet to stop. So ignore the fact that Robin Freins is showing as the leader, although he is. Under real pressure now is Edo Mortara from René Rast, because this is the fight that is going on for P2 in the race. It's Erickson, Mortara, Rast, Zanardi. That is the order that we need to concern ourselves with until Robin Freins goes in and takes his mandatory stop, which he's got to do. And we're into the final 5 minutes of the race, so he's got to do it sooner rather than later. 5 minutes plus 1 lap, of course. So everything has been thrown at this race, Tom Biaggi, hasn't it? We've had weather, we've had strategy, we've had cars turned around, we've had contact, we've had safety cars. I mean, there ain't much else you can put into the melting pot, is there?
Yeah, but we had a lot of several different kind of condition, show, chaotic phase at the beginning of the race. I mean, we didn't miss anything from that big show, big event, thanks to DTM.
Yes, DTM here in Italy, in Misano, the first time ever night races. So Edo Mortara and René Rast then, 8 tenths between the two of them. There is the Edo Mortara car. Robin Freins in car number 4 being shown as the leader, of course, because he is yet to stop. And we're on board with René Rast, and Edo Mortara, of course, now on fresher tyres than René Rast by some laps, and therefore those wet weather tyres of Edo Mortara working very, very well in the closing stages of this race, and proving that he can form the defence against René Rast. So Joel Eriksson then, who is up the road, and Robin Freins, the car that is being shown as the leader on the left-hand side of your screen, but is yet to make his mandatory pit stop. Edo Mortara then, and René Rast, about 8/10 between the two of them. But Edo Mortara is on fresher tyres than René Rast. The weather appears to have calmed down a bit now. We've got no falling rain, but of course we've still got very, very damp conditions around the circuit. Joel Eriksson then. Here comes Pascal Wehrlein on Philipp Eng, all the way around the outside of the BMW driver Philipp Eng. And see the lights being flashed by Marco Wittmann there on Philipp Eng. There is Gary Paffett. And here comes the number 47 car of Joel Eriksson. Behind him is Daniel Juncker-Deyer. And Joel Eriksson then. So the Robin Freins car, the final car to come into the pit lane. And he's got to do it really on this lap. So Robin Freins is going to have to come in, and then we will see where he will filter back out and what he has been able to do strategically with regards to trying to build as much of a margin as he possibly can. Joel Eriksson, though, is 20.9 seconds behind him. Edo Mortara 32, René Rast 33.2, then it's Alex Zanardi, who is 1:10 behind, so I'm thinking it's going to be P5. So let's see, is it going to be this time that he chooses to come in? 1:52 left on the clock, and we've got a yellow flag in sector 12, and yes, it is. So Freins is in, and this then will be the final pit stop. He is the final driver to stop, and the Robin Freins car comes in. The AB team will go to work on that Robin Freins car. The final car to make his mandatory pit stop. Robin Freins, of course, taking that P2 in the race yesterday.
Strange strategy, because he will not get any advantage from fresh tires, and he will be even in trouble to warm up the tire in one lap, one lap or 2 laps.
6.8 seconds the stop for Robin Freins, so he's on his way down the pit lane now. Past goes Mortara and René Rast. So we were thinking it's going to be around Alex Zanardi maybe when Robin Freins comes back out again. So as we pan out now and look towards the end of the start-finish straight in turns 1 and 2, Robin Freins comes back out onto track. So here is our race leader, Joel Eriksson, rookie driver into the DTM for this season. Had lunch with him on Friday. And super young Swedish driver.
Anyway, Zanardi is doing a miracle. I have no words about.
Brilliant job.
I can imagine his emotion, his excitement about. We will see after the race for sure. Now he's in a solid P5 and he's doing a miracle.
You're absolutely right. It's been a fantastic weekend to even have him here, but to have him here and be ultra competitive as well is just supreme. Joel Eriksson, though, new into the DTM this year from a single-seater career, of course, in car number 47. As I say, he looked really good right at the start of the year. Really, really impressed us at Hockenheim. And he starts the final lap of this race. So Joel Eriksson, Edo Mortara, René Rast. There is René Rast, but there is Joel Eriksson. Daniel Juncker-Deyer is out of the equation. Edo Mortara then did his level best, and actually, when you consider, and we were questioning the strategy of Edo Mortara Thomas. 4.7 seconds down. I mean, there's no way he's going to get on top within what's left of this lap, but actually the margin between Joel Eriksson and Edo Mortara is probably not as great as I expected it to be. It's only 4.7 seconds.
Yeah, they are quite close, and you can see Mortara is running now 3 seconds faster than Erickson, but unfortunately there is no more laps.
No more laps.
Yeah.
But if Erickson were to make a mistake now, Edo would benefit. Now,
sure.
I'm sure Joel Eriksson is not going to make a mistake now because this would be his maiden DTM win, and to take it in Misano in Italy. One of the guys that works with Joel Eriksson, a guy called Matthias Persson, who actually isn't here this weekend, and he'll be absolutely furious that he's not here to see this. Joel Eriksson just has a few more turns to do, and he will celebrate his first win in the DTM. Joel Eriksson then for BMW, a rookie driver, takes his first win in the DTM at Misano. Joel Eriksson wins from Eduardo Mortara. It was 1.8 seconds at the line. Then it's Rene Rast who takes P3. The cars are all spread out because of the number of pit stops that we've had. Joel Eriksson, race winner. Bert Mampay there, you can see just how happy he is. Bert Mampay then the boss of the team. Robin Freins crosses the line to take P4. And then this man, Alex Zanardi, guest driver into the DTM at Misano, is going to cross the line P5. It's a remarkable achievement. He takes the checkered flag, P5 in the DTM for Alex Zanardi. Tom Biaggi, you've got a tear in your eye.
Yeah, I'm very happy, honestly, for Zanardi. What he did is something, is another page to put in the book of the history is writing Zanardi.
Absolutely extraordinary. So we continue. It's going to be a long while before all the cars have crossed the timing line. It's Erickson, Mortara, Rast, the 1, 2, 3, Freins, Zanardi, Di Resta, Loic Duval, P7, Jamie Green, P8. Timo Glock is so sideways. He is drifting that car through the turns. Rocky takes P9, Nico Muller P10. Then it's Bruno Spengler P11, Pascal Wehrlein P12, Marco Wittmann P13. Gary Paffett P14, Timo Glock P15, then it was Philip Eng, and look at the state of Paffett's car, showing you just what the conditions have been like out there here in Misano. What an extraordinary race. I said, we've had everything thrown at us, Tom. We've had strategy, we've had weather, we've had safety cars, we've had contact, you name it. DTM is just such an exciting product on the tarmac, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I enjoy very much to be with you and commentate those two races here in Misano. Was for me a very beautiful experience, and again, let me say, see Zanardi in P5 in DTM, considering that he's braking and downshifting with his hand, with handbrake, so in such a difficult condition, manage the brake, to modulate the brake with his hand instead of the foot is me. That means this guy is really. I have no words for what he did. He's an hero. He's an hero.
Absolutely. Joel Eriksson brings the car to the P1 spot in Parc Fermé. There will be a lot of people very, very pleased to see him take his first win in DTM. He really is such a likable driver. There's no question about that. And he jumps out of his BMW now. And don't be surprised to see him at the roof of the car celebrating. Told you. Ladies and gentlemen, your race winner is Joel Eriksson. Well done, sir. Everything played into his hands today, didn't it? He had to have the pace, he had to pedal the car, it just fell right for him. And you know what, Tom Biaggi, as someone who's had as much success in motor racing as you have, sometimes you just have to take your luck when it comes your way. But this man, as you said, he is a hero.
Yeah.
Absolute legendary race from Alex Zanardi, who finishes in P5 in only his second DTM race. That is extraordinary. So Joel Eriksson then congratulated. He did a brilliant job. And everything went his way, but he still had to pedal the car. And he so deserves this first win in DTM.
Unbelievable results for Zanardi. We saw the emotion in his eyes, and I hope to see him back in a DTM race, as he says, in a race maybe more consistent with the weather condition, more easy for him, and for sure he doesn't expect such weather in his home race.
Don't think any of us did. There is the race order on the screen. Erickson, the winner from Mortara Rast, Freins, Alex Zanardi P5, Paul di Resta P6. Then it was Loic Duval, Jamie Green, Mike Rockenfeller, Nico Muller, Bruno Spengler, Pascal Wehrlein, Marco Wittmann, Gary Paffett, Timo Glock, and Philip Heng with Daniel Juncadei and Augusto Farfus. There is René Rast. You can see how happy Jens Marquardt from BMW was as well. Joel Eriksson, race winner. Alex Zanardi, P5. Two fantastic talking points from what has been an extraordinary weekend here in Misano, where, well, we've never had weather conditions quite like it, I don't think. Or that's what Tom would have us believe, that it's really, really uncommon. In the driver's standings now, as you can see, it's all changed because Paul di Resta, by finishing P6, vaults himself to 186 points and therefore is P1. From Gary Paffett, P2. Edo Mortara is P3 in the Drivers' Championship, with Marco Wittmann P4. So we head off to the Nürburgring, 7th to the 9th of September. And there is Joel Eriksson being congratulated by the BMW Motorsport director, Jens Marquardt. Of course, for someone like Jens Marquardt, he looks at driver talent and decides who to put in the car. And Joel Eriksson was given his opportunity to be in the DTM and has certainly made sure that that decision has been vindicated by taking his first win in the DTM. Congratulated by Edo Mortara and René Rast. And who would think it? René Rast, of course, a rookie in the DTM last year, and he took the championship. So the drivers will be heading up to the podium in due course. And what a result for Joel Eriksson. Congratulations, Joel Eriksson, race winner. He's with Verena now.
I'm here with the man who really managed the perfect race, and congratulations, perfect strategy, perfect everything. You're made in victory. Can you try to describe how you feel right now, Joel?
I'm out of words. I cannot nearly not speak. It's unbelievable. I mean, we did a really, really big risk on the start. Congrats. Thank you, man. We started on slicks in the beginning, in the start, and we know it was a big risk. And then in the start, I fall back really far behind, but I kept pushing and kept the goal in the head, like we are coming forward in the end of the race. And then, I don't know, I'm just out of words. I don't know even what to say.
I mean, this is what DTM is all about, emotions, and let them run freely. Obviously, you have all the rights, so you can be so proud, especially in this so difficult race. I mean, it's the first time we've got a night race in the history of DTM, and you winning the second race here in Misano. I mean, could you be any prouder?
No, I cannot be even proud. I mean, I'm super happy for the team and really proud of the team. I mean, the strategy we had now this race was unbelievable. Everything is just unbelievable. I mean, it was the first time for me coming to this track. I've never been there before. It was my first time to race in the dark. I don't know, everything is just unbelievable at the moment.
Well, enjoy the moment up there on the podium. You did a fab job, Joel. Back to you.
Thanks very much. He did do a fab job. I have to say, not absolutely sure, although we might have done. I can't remember now, remember him being on slicks, but he changed at just the right time, didn't he? As he says, it was a real risk. But sometimes in motorsport, you have to roll the dice, don't you, Mr. Biaggi?
Yes, right. He says it was a risk starting on slick, and at the beginning he lost position. But he keep fight. He never give up. We say, as a driver, it's very important to never give up. And in the end, he achieved a fantastic result. And as he says, first time in Misano, first time on the dark. For sure, not easy for him. And we saw his. Emotion, his eyes speaks more than 1,000 words.
You're right. Super slow-mos to the top three. We've seen René Rast, we've seen Edo Mortara, and now we're seeing the race winner. Joel Eriksson, race winner in Misano, and this is how happy he was atop his car in Parc Fermé. Of course, we'll be seeing him on the top step of the podium, and there he is being congratulated. There by a team boss, Bart Mampay, of course, BMW team RBM. And, well, the driver's then behind the podium there. And Edo Mortara now, you can see, being congratulated there by Oliver Kaffenstein from Mercedes-Benz. And the drivers will be out onto the podium shortly. And, well, this is something that Joel will remember for a very long time, his maiden win in the DTM. Super young man, and thoroughly deserving of the success. They rolled the dice at the beginning of the race, and it paid off. And the weather conditions just played into his hands, but it matters not. You've got to take everything that is gifted to you. Here he is, race winner in the DTM, Joel Eriksson. You can see how popular he is by the response he gets from down there below the podium. Next up, we'll be seeing Edo Mortara. So a strong weekend here in Misano.
I would love to see Zanardi as well on the podium.
I agree with you. I agree with you. There he is, René Rast, then taking P3. I mean, you know, just 2 places away from a podium. That's remarkable, isn't it, Thomas?
Right.
National anthem will play out for Joel Eriksson once we introduce, of course, Bart Mampay onto the podium. So let's hear the national anthem play out for Joel Eriksson, race winner on the top step of the podium here in Misano. So Joel Eriksson, Edo Mortara, René Rast, the P1, 2, and 3 on the podium. And I have to say, I am absolutely loving these trophies. Mr. Stefano Giannini, the mayor of Misano Adriatica, makes the trophy presentation to Joel Eriksson. He holds that aloft with some pride. And next trophy presentation going the way to Bart Mampay then. Look at the team down there. Win and lose as a team, don't you, Thomas? You win and lose as a racing team.
Yeah.
Timo Scheider now making the trophy presentation. Two-time DTM champion making the trophy presentation to Edo Mortara. Whoa, steady Edo. That nearly went then. Just describing how it nearly went. But they managed to save it. And Maximilian Simmer then, the winner of DTM Fan Experience, making the trophy presentation to René Rast. Current DTM champion takes P3. So Uli Fritz down there with DT Gas, Mercedes-Benz and Audi, and of course BMW. All three manufacturers up there on the podium, which is another great thing about DTM, isn't it?
Absolutely right.
Now, I just have a feeling that Erickson's going to get mugged here with regards to the champagne. Edo and René Rast are going to make sure that Joel Eriksson gets it. And he's going to take it all and enjoy it. And that's great to see. Brilliant stuff. Well done, Joel Eriksson. He is a race winner in DTM.
Nice shower for him.
Yes. Absolutely fantastic. He deserves a swig of that, doesn't he? And look at the delight on his face.
Yeah. Remarkable moment.
That was the grid girls escaping, wasn't it? Oh, well caught, sir.
After yesterday intense spray.
So the celebrations down there in the Parc Fermé area, which is just below the podium. And, well, Joel Eriksson takes the win. The team standings, 269 points for the Mercedes AMG Motorsport Petronas, and then P2, P3 going the way of Mercedes as well. René Rast on the podium, P3. He's with Verena now.
Yeah. And I'm here with René Rast. Congratulations. I mean, podium in this crazy race must mean a lot. Talk us through it. I mean, how crazy was it and how happy are you to be in third place?
Yeah, very crazy. I mean, I cannot even remember what happened. Almost in the first lap, the race was over. I got turned around. I was sideways in the other direction. And then somehow I got in the right direction again. Yeah, and then it was chaos with the weather. It started to rain. There was some accident. The safety car came out, and I thought I was P2 at that moment. I thought we lost the race again due to safety car. But all the cars around us were lapped, so we had one lap advantage on the other cars. And then obviously, yeah, it was between Joel, Edo, and me. But in the end, I had not the pace to win the race. So still very happy with P3. Good point for the championship, and 3 times in a row on the podium.
Exactly. So enjoy and let's continue that way. And of course, we're looking forward to the next race, which is in 2 weeks at the Nürburgring. So see you then. And now enjoy the highlights of today's race here in Misano. Bye-bye and see you next time.
Thanks, Andreas, for all your help.